had a preconceived notion called in Israel conceptia. What was the conceptia? That Hamas wore two hats. It wore a terrorist hat. It was a jihadist group, just like uh, ISIS or Hezbollah or Al Qaeda. It had the same theology, which was to create a Middle Eastern caliphate and then expand that caliphate to include the world. The only difference with Hamas was the first stage of that process would be our destruction of the state of Israel. And so there was a jihadist hat, but there was also a governance hat because, at the end of the day, Hamas was the de facto sovereign of a Palestinian mini state. So the notion was that we would incentivize Hamas to prefer the governance hat over the terrorist hat. And how are we going to do that? First of all, letting the Qataris come in and dump immense amount of money. And I can't say I used to watch these armored cars go in with pallets of American bills on pallets, not bundles. And we would also let Palestinian workers come into Israel. It was a big risk. Let 20,000 Palestinian workers from Gaza come into Israel every single day. It was great for the Palestinians. They were a very high salary by Gaza terms with social benefits, and basically easing up on Hamas. But we forgot who they are, and who they are is their ISIS. And they don't care about the cash. They don't care about the workers. They care about killing us. They care about that vision of destroying us en route to creating that or recreating the medieval Islamic caliphate in the Middle East. And that is the immediate backdrop to the horrific events of October 7th. We have learned very, very much the hard way. Is Iran involved in this? Certainly. There are questions about whether we have, the smoking gun or not, but certainly have an immense amount of circumstantial evidence. We know that Hamas is trained and funded by Iran. And I cannot stress this enough to all listeners. Please, if you take away anything from this conversation, take away this. They have now, at last count, we're still counting, by the way, close to, what is it now, 240 hostages in their hands. The Hamas will release those hostages, maybe one at a time, or release videos of them. Now they've just released a video of 3 of these women. They are going to do this with high-profile cases that will come out and say, Hamas is wonderful. You guys got it all wrong. They don't, behead people. They don't burn people. They don't rape people. They don't dismember people. You got it all wrong. It's all disinformation. They treat us very well. And if Israel will agree to bringing fuel into the Gaza Strip, if Israel will agree to an open-ended ceasefire, we'll start letting these hostages go. Right? And this created a tremendous and mounting pressure on us to agree to a ceasefire. Here's my message to you. Take this away. A ceasefire means one thing and one thing only. It means the death of the state of Israel. It's an existential war, friends. It's a war for our survival, just not for our security. What does a ceasefire mean? Ceasefire means that Hamas literally gets away with mass murder. Period. I talk about this Substack I have called Clarity, and I try to address issues with the utmost clarity. And one of my next essays is going to be the following. So you're going to get a preview of it. It's going to be this. Brace yourself. Maybe this is the time for American decision makers to say, listen, for 15 years, we've tried this pivot to Iran. It didn't work. Iran could not be incentivized to become a responsible regional power. Iran is destabilizing the entire Middle East and potentially dragging us into another war. Now is the time to deal with Iran. We have these forces there. America has the abilities to eliminate the Iranian nuclear program in a matter of hours. Iran has no air force, it has no tanks. You're not going to get involved in a war. Iran has no ability to get ability to get into a war with Iran. It can cause mischief. It can cause terror. It does that anyway. And it's admitting that you made a mistake. And believe me, I just admitted we made a mistake in thinking that we could somehow incentivize Hamas to be less, jihadist. We failed. America, by the way, made the same mistake.
Yes.
We made exactly the same mistake. Let's treat these guys nicely, respectfully, and give them a lot of money, and they'll change their behavior. It didn't work. It doesn't work here. And now is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for everybody. And I think it would send an unequivocal message to the Russians, to the Chinese. It would reverberate around the world.
Mhm.
That's what I'm going to write. So
J.H. Israel and the National Leadership Center in the city of Ariel has been given the greatest opportunity, and I just wanted to share it with you today, hot off the press. But we have been given an extraordinary situation where the Ministry of Defense and Israel's Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health are working alongside the National Leadership Center to facilitate and to host the families that have been affected inside this horrific war. As you might imagine, there is not a family inside of the state of Israel today that has not been deeply impacted by what's taking place. And there is a great need to rebuild the nation, to restore families, to bring hope, to heal where there's been trauma. So alongside our programming called Take 5 Becoming a Leader, that discovery of life purpose, why am I here? We're going to be bringing the IDF soldiers. We're going to be bringing families, fathers and husbands and wives who've lost their husbands and fathers, and children affected most traumatically by this war. And this is being done intentionally with Israel's Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Education. We're looking forward to the role that we're going to get to play. Alongside that, we're bringing in trauma counselors to work alongside our trainers inside of the situation. Why are we being given this opportunity and not some other leadership center inside of Israel? Well, there's really several reasons. One is we've had this long, successful career with Israel's Ministry of Defense, training the IDF. Over 100,000 people, Israelis, have gone through our program. And so we've got an enduring relationship that's had successful outcomes. That's why they're turning to us. Number two, we've got the state-of-the-art national leadership platform and experiential learning environment that is so conducive for bringing families together, soldiers together in their battalions, units of police who are so engaged in this war. And number three, because we have a spiritually conducive environment, trainers, leaders there that have opened the way for God to do that mysterious work that He does in people's lives.